that I will have a special guest joining me on this podcast. Today is the day, and I hope you all are hyped. It's a player who has a big impact on the game, but also a player we haven't heard from in a while. He has attended to lands such as ESWC, Gamers Assembly, World Summer Games, and more. He was a player in the well-known Team Acer and also from Onyx Gaming. I'm happy to welcome one, the only Tamarillo into the podcast. How are you, man?
Hello, man. Thanks for introducing me. I'm pretty damn great, actually. How about you? That's
Yeah,
also an important question.
I'm so hyped to do this. For
Really?
people, yeah, of course, man. For people like myself who joined Trackmania kind of late, could you describe to them who you are and what you have done in the game?
Yes, I can. Do you want a short version, long version?
I can guess a short introduction will start and then we get into the longer version as we go.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I'm Tamarillo. My real name is Robert Kroon. I've been playing Trackmania since 2007 until, God, I don't know, I think 2016, something like that. So pretty long time. I live in the Netherlands. My hobbies are racing, football, watching football, not doing any exercise at all. And well, I guess that's basically around it.
Yeah.
I've studied psychology, and nowadays I work at Samsung. So
But before we get into like deeper stuff of Trackmania and the questions I have for you, can we start at the top? How did you discover the game of Trackmania and do you remember your first impression of it?
yeah, definitely. The story behind that is I've always been into racing ever since I was young, so I've always wanted to try new racing games. And at one point, well, I guess everyone knows Formula One,
Yeah.
but you also have other racing classes. And at the time, I guess 2016, 2017, there was a racing class and it was called A1GP. That racing class had countries racing against each other. So Netherlands was in it, China, so whatever, a lot of countries. And I actually was looking if there was a game about that, and the only game that came close was Trackmania because you had all the nations and stuff like that. So actually, I just thought I'd have a go, and actually got hooked quite fast. Each time I was done with school, came home, and I started playing Trackmania, and actually that escalated quite quickly in that I wanted to have each local record on different servers. So yeah, that was actually the start, I guess.
You remember what kind of maps you played in the start? Were there like short tech maps, full speed maps, LOL maps? What kind of maps?
I guess there is not really a category for it. If you would, maybe there is, I don't know. But I'd say it comes close to tech maps,
Yeah,
short
okay.
maps, but they weren't really made smooth. So you had to, yeah, it was, I guess, a little bit more difficult than short tech maps. It's actually also the maps where I started drifting by doing the neo drift instead of the regular drift. That's actually, I think most of the people learn the normal drift first,
Yeah.
but for whatever reason, I learned the neo drift first, and that's always how I did it. So that's that.
So you learned the neo drift before you learned the what to say the easy drift we have in the game.
Yeah, I always thought that was the way to drift. So I don't know. I just didn't know better, and then later on I found out that I didn't have to always push it at the same time or release the gas
Oh,
for a short second.
that's fascinating. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
kind of weird.
your friend in Koons, I had him on, and he described Trackmania as the first love of his game. As you already said, you are a fan of many racing games, but would you consider Trackmania a special one, or is this just another racing game?
Well, good question actually. I'd say it has become a game where I have a lot of love for, obviously because it has offered me so many great moments and actually has influenced my life a
Yeah.
lot, which is kind of weird to say about a game, but it really did. And I guess there is no other game that has done that. But if I'm entirely honest, my true passion lays in racing games with the steering wheel
Yeah.
involved. Actually, I enjoy that a little bit more, but because of the competitiveness and all the experiences I've had, and it's just easy to play, I could always pick it up, and I've made a lot of friends. The game is the most special game for me as well. But if it's the most fun game to play for me, I'd say it's really fun, but it's not my favorite.
Oh. Let's talk about like your team history, because people normally start getting into the series scene of Trackmania by slowly getting into bigger and bigger teams. But before we started talking about your biggest teams, can you sort of describe how your team history was before you joined the team of Acer?
Yeah, definitely. If I can remember, that is.
It's
It's
a
so
long
long.
time ago, yeah.
Yeah, a long time ago. Well, I can start from the beginning. So I played a lot on local servers and stuff like that. Like I said before, and there was one server I hang around a lot. It was called Fruity Shorties Racing, and they also had a team. And before that, my name on the game was Pastrelli. Why that was my name, I can be really short and simple.
Yeah,
There
sure.
were chips on my desk, and they were called Pastrellis, and that's why where I got my nickname from.
Yeah, that's a good
Um,
reason.
yeah. However, for Fruity Shorties Racing, you had to take an exotic fruit name, and I immediately saw Tamarillo as a cool name to adapt to, and actually brought that along. And I've stayed in that team for, I think, I don't know, it feels like a year, but I'm pretty sure it was because of the amount of time I was playing. It
Yeah.
felt really long, but I think it was only 3 or 6 months or something like that. And then he sort of got scouted into a bigger team, which was the #1 team in the Netherlands. Shadows. I think nobody knows anymore, but they were the top team of the Netherlands. They had all the best Dutch drivers. And I had some kind of tryout with Krijn. I don't know. His nickname is Micro. The game. To be honest, I don't know if he's still playing Trackmania, but he used to be a team captain of MX Peiks Gaming, and I don't know if these teams still exist. Probably not. Um, so yeah, actually, and I passed the tryout, so I was incredibly proud playing for Shadows and stuff like that. And the further we moved on, I started to attend my first event. To be honest, I had more teams in between. It was also Team One. I wasn't exactly entirely loyal, if I may say. I wanted to be loyal, but there were always new opportunities
Yeah,
around
yeah.
the corner and stuff like that. So I don't know. I was always really interested in it. But when I joined Team Shadows, I was really honored. And when I started to play my first real event, offline, I mean, it was a World Cyber Games of the Netherlands, and it was in my hometown. And there were qualifications for the final in Amsterdam, the capital of the Netherlands.
Yep.
And the day before the pre-qualifiers, I had a call with Bergie, the guy from Team Dignitas and Team Expert, I believe, or
Yep.
two. And he asked me if I wanted to become a Team Dignitas player, and I think since then it really became a wild ride in the world of Trackmania.
So you're a player that has both been in Team Dignitas and Team Acer, one of a few.
Yes, I think I'm one of the exceptional or the exceptions that has been in both.
But I remember an interview you did with Wormy on the Mania Exchange. You told about your first team match, and if I remember correctly, you played against the legend himself, Karian, in 2007. Can you sort
Yes.
of take us through that match when you played against him pretty
Uh,
early?
yeah, I can. Actually, the first match, I think I was playing for Fruity Shorties Racing, FSR. So it was really my first team. To be honest, at that time I knew he was a good player, but he wasn't the player we all know now. He was also in this starting career phase or whatever. But
Yeah.
what did struck me was that he already was on another level than I was. At the time, I wasn't as good as Oh, maybe I was as good as I am now because I'm not playing anymore. I don't know, but I wasn't on my maximum level, and he for sure wasn't also. But he already struck me as a really fast and also a nice guy in the chat. So yeah, what I remember from the match is that we lost quite bad, so that wasn't a good memory. But yeah, I don't know. I already saw that he went. Did I think that he would become world's best player at one point? Obviously not, because that's weird to think. So I'm not gonna give you all the bullshit about that. But he was really fast.
Yeah. But you're not only played against strong names, you're always also been in teams with names such as Frostbill and Coons. Can you sort of describe your relationship to your teammates? Is there anyone that sticks out particularly?
Well, I've always had good relationships with that sounds weird, but got a good bond with my
Bromance.
teammates. Yeah, most of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Players that stick out for me are Koen, definitely. At least he was in the obviously he's from the Netherlands, so I had a good bond with him. Actually, at the start at Team Acer and Jeugdtech, I also had a good bond with Frostbill. Bergie, I've always had good laughs with. To be honest, I can't remember if I was a teammate from Carl Jr. I don't think so, but I've always had a good bond with him as well.
Yeah.
But I'm already naming names, but to be honest, I don't think I ever felt people that I disliked or something. I also had a lot of fun with spam, for instance, so I don't know. There's not one particular person. There are many, and mostly also because Trackmania is such a fun game, and everyone is a friend of each other. I mean, I actually went on holiday 2 years ago with my girlfriend, or was it 1 year ago? I can't remember. God, it sounds like I have dementia or something. I keep saying I can't remember things, but
Yeah.
and I went to Slovakia and for 1 day, and I saw Twin again.
Oh.
So yeah, these things do happen, and I saw Koen 3 days ago. So I still meet up with these people. But yeah, if there are people that stick out, not really. I think everyone I consider it as a good gaming friend.
Oh, that's a good thing that you can meet up with people even after you left the game.
Yeah, but actually, because it's kind of weird, but because you know each other quite well, but you also don't, from the
Yeah.
events, luckily. But you cherish good moments with them, unless the one player beat the other person, of course. But that's that. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but it's on the other end, it's also really nice.
Yeah. And for me, I joined the game, like I said, kind of late, so it's hard for me to debate who has been the greatest team ever in Trackmania. But as you said, you have been both in Team Dignitas and Team Acer. Could you give us the answer? Who is the greatest team Trackmania has ever seen? It's
That's
a
a
hard
tough
one.
question. Yeah. I must be honest, and I think that the greatest team I've ever seen, but perhaps you could ask Bergie this question better because he has been in the scene longer than I have. I think it was at the beginning when I started playing 2007. I'm not gonna say I don't think Dignitas was the best of all time. I don't think Acer was the best of all time. But I do think NWO, they were called New World Order
Yeah.
around 2007. Crossbill was in it, Bergie was in it, and a whole lot other like sick players. Koen actually was in it, even though I think he has become better through the years. He already was really good, but uh, I think at the time there were even more great players, and they were all in one team. It was a kind of monopoly in Trackmania, and yeah. So I must say, I think that was, or at least my perception is that was the best team ever, and
Yeah.
perhaps the newest Dignitas lineup. Well, newest, I think, at the end of Team Dignitas I don't know when did it stop?
2016, I believe they left the game, and then
Yeah,
Team Expert joined. Sorry.
yeah. I think at the end of that, and maybe the beginning of Team X, I think they also had a really good team.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but
But
yeah, it's tough. It's tough to say.
yeah,
Yeah.
So can you take us through like the matches you had against when you played in Team Acer? Like, what did you think about facing Team Dignitas? Were
Uh,
you...
these were the main matches of the year, you know. So I could always. It was not hard for me to get myself hyped for these matches. Also because even though it's a team match, you
Yeah.
also. I mean, always wanted to show off myself, you know. So I don't know. Yeah, I can be honest, and I want to say, hey, it's a team performance, stuff like that, and I genuinely think it is a team performance. But at the end of the day, we all just want to be the best and we want to show off, and I don't know. So I don't know. I always prepared really well for these matches, and I actually think in 2015 or 2016, um, Trackmania Actu, the
Yeah.
team Actu, the website, they did what was it, a kind of ranking at the end of the year or something, who were the top 20 players of the year. I got in that list only because I got relatively placed relatively high in the ESWC tournament. But what was a funny thing was that what they mentioned in the article was that I hardly played any team matches that year. But if I played them, I played them against Team Dignitas in the more the more hyped
Yeah.
events or matches, you know. So I think I was always more interested in these kind of matches, and yeah, so I think that also shows how important these were for me.
And at the end of your career in the game, you joined a new organization which has had players such as Riolo and Devil and more. Why did you feel like it was natural for you to join Onyx and leave the strong team in Team Acer?
Well, to be honest, I felt I at first it was Devil and me,
Yeah.
Euronics. Devil helped me to get in Euronics, and I wanted to be in Euronics because they did not only focus on Trackmania but also on sim racing, which is what I told you earlier, one of my other passions at the time. So I actually wanted to combine these, and within Trackmania, I never felt the need to play these team matches as much. Also because I was busy with studying, and obviously it also has to do with motivation. I cannot entirely lie about that. Um, so at a certain point, if you play Trackmania for so long, you don't really have the motivation anymore to play against the teams that were a little bit less good.
Yeah.
It sounds really stupid maybe, but and a bit harsh, but I don't know. It felt like if I had the time to play, then I prefer doing that for the big guys, the big boys. Also because I always, I don't know, the motivation was a lot higher. So yeah, just that.
Let's go into like the offline events, maybe the big events that were back in the days, because that's something we sadly miss in today's scene. But
Mm-hmm.
as you were a player back in the days, you played in events such as ESWC, Gamers Assembly, World Cyber Games, and more. I want to start off with ESWC, sort of my first impression of you, and maybe for others as well. The
Mm-hmm.
movie you posted about ESWC 2013, we
Mm-hmm.
followed your journey from this event.
Yeah.
You placed 9 in that event, and it was sort of like equal to your best placement, but you were disappointed with it, at least it looked like that in the movie. Can you
Mm-hmm.
tell why did
Oh, I
this
started
event
crying.
mean so
So
much for
yes.
you?
So what did you say at the end? Sorry to interrupt you.
Can you sort of tell us why was this event so special to you? Why did you want to make a movie following your journey and take us behind the
Um,
scenes?
well, well, first off, each world championship was an important tournament for me. I always believed I could become a world champion. I think if I would not have these thoughts, then I would not have entered. Um, and for this, the reason about the movie was actually just pure coincidence. Cookie, who is a good friend of me in the Dutch scene, he actually had to do what's it called? Just a project about a filming project for
Yeah,
his
okay.
school, and he actually wanted to do this, you know. So I said, "Hey, man, it's like you don't really get the chance to have someone filming you a lot of the time at such a big event. And I was like, I was in the illusion that I would become, well, I'm not saying I would become world champion, but that I would come really far. So yeah, then I was like, yeah, why not, you know? So and the event itself, God, that was it's like I have to double check. I'm actually now looking at the tournaments I've entered, so just to say, just to check that I'm saying it correctly.
Yeah,
So
sure.
in 2009, it was my first event, World Championship, and I can tell you a funny story about this that not many people know, but
Sure, bring it.
they had like these drawings before the tournament. So this tournament was in China. So that was amazing already, because at the time I was 16 or something, and or 15, I believe. And they did these drawings before, and I remember I was watching the live drawing. Yeah, you cannot imagine that they do that in the Trackmania scene, but they did. I don't know why.
Yeah, the group drawings
Yeah,
we
group
play
drawings.
against.
Yeah. And so I was watching it, and the first person got out of the thingy, and it was Frostbill. Second person, Moriah. Third person, Tamarillo. I was like, what? And at the time, Frostbill was world champion. Moriah was in the final, I think, the year before, the number 4. And then I saw another group, which was someone from South Korea, someone from Thailand or something, and some other, maybe Australian guy, I don't
Yeah.
know. And I was like, what happened? Why am I in a group of that, you know? And the other thing was, there wasn't a lower or upper bracket at the time. So my initial reaction was, fuck it, I'm not going to the tournament. I was like, I'm not gonna go there, you know? I want to
Oh,
win. I want to come far. I don't want to go there just for one match and
yeah.
go home. So, and I told my parents, I don't want to go to China, you know? I've been drawn in a hard group. They were like, what? You get the opportunity to go to China, everything is paid for you. You can represent your country, and you don't want to go just because you're put in a tough group. They were like, what? And then they convinced me at the end to still go. Luckily, but
Yeah, luckily.
yeah, but no, but I think that really shows my eagerness to always perform well,
Yeah,
and that I
yeah, yeah.
always want to come forward. And whether it always was within reach, I don't know, but I had this mindset at least, and I think that helped me to become, or to come quite far.
Yeah.
And for the ESWC tournaments, yeah, it was something special, because I already attended one at 2010. It was my first ESWC. I didn't perform as well as I wanted to, and I got another chance in 2013. Was it 2013 or 2012? I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, I don't know. I felt like the tournament, I felt like I could come far, but it's also, I've been struggling with this a lot during my career. I think generally people thought more highly of me than I actually was. I was able to set really fast times comparable with the top dogs in the scene. Okay, I'm not going to say Carl Jr. and Karin, they were on another level, but I don't think I was far off from that pace. But in a match where you have to show consistency, I was not always as consistent in my consistency, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's also one of the reasons why I also got to think I could become a world champion or come really far, because always the expectations were pretty high, because people only watch the Daddy Mania timings, you know, and if I'm there in the top 3 in most of the tracks, then people think, oh, he has a shot at winning. But I don't know, maybe that's what I did later on. I reflected, and maybe you just have to be honest. I'm incredibly proud of what I have achieved over the years. I am one of the lucky ones to go to all these events, and I actually have placed myself 9th and 7th one time, you know. So
Yeah.
maybe I should just be honest and say, like, look, I still was one of the best players in the world. I was just not that little last hit I just missed. And sometimes obviously you have good days and then you can show it. But in general, I didn't have this X factor that would make me world champion or anything. And now I'm fine with it. But at the time when you see the video, I'm actually just so annoyed with my performance and so disappointed. But that's just sportsmanship, you know. I mean, that's just you want to win, you get ninth or whatever the hell it was. I mean, that's not satisfying to me at that time, and
Yeah.
yeah. So that was just disappointment. But to be honest, 2 hours later, I already got on my feet and I said, "Hey, Koen, hopefully you'll do well," and Spam, hopefully you do well. Then I supported my countrymen in coming this far.
Yeah, because in the match that you were knocked out, you played against Koons, who played third, and you also played against Carl and DNS. You were leading the match, if I remember correctly, and got to finalist mode. Will you say
Yep.
that the curse of the finalist mode killed you? Or
Well, I'm
because
not.
if it was only gaining points, you would probably have won that match, or
Yeah, that is true, but you know, maybe then if it was based on points, maybe the mindset of all other players was completely different, and
yeah.
then maybe I wasn't the best player, you know. I don't think you should blame it on something like that. I was just in general, I was just pretty fucking shit with finalist mode. Sorry for my bad language. I don't know. I didn't have this coolness to finish it off.
Yeah, okay. Huh. Do you think that the finalist mode is something that should be improved or even removed if you want to make it or decide?
Well, is it still do they still use it?
Yeah, they still use the old
Yeah.
systems. Some events has the ESL finalist mode or ESL point system, but most use the same as ever.
Okay, okay. I'd say it's a tough one because there's one thing where I think it's a good system. Like the thinking about it is pretty good. Because it's it can be more entertaining
Yeah,
for the public. But is it really fair? I don't know, but it brings another element, and that's just finish the shit you've started, you know, and just the coolness and stuff like that. So in that aspect, I think it's good, but I think it's not as rewarding that if you're already finalist, that that you can't score any points anymore.
yeah. I
Uh,
remember Frostbule was suggesting, or even the ESL title pack or ESL point system, you are
mhm.
finalist but still gains points, so the people behind you has to catch up more to get finalist mode themselves.
I think that's a lot more fair
Yeah,
because then also it's so fake to put a finalist mode on a certain type of points, you know, and I don't know if you have 118 points and the finalist mode is 120 and you gain 10 points, or I don't know, 6 points, and some other
yeah,
guy who has 111 gets 10, and you're both finalists with them, even though you're still in front of this guy.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's entirely fair, but I can understand that it's entertaining for the public. So on the other hand, I think sometimes I'm like, you just have to deal with it, you know.
Yep, yep, yep.
Not everyone agrees with each rule, and you can never please everyone. So at the time, I was not really happy with it, but you know, that's just life. So
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's also Trackmania in this case.
Yeah, let's talk about another event you went to many times, actually, the Gamers Assembly. We have the 2018 edition coming up. You have,
Ah,
maybe this is the event you have placed best in. You have placed second 2 times, I believe, in 2012 and 2013. If we
yeah.
start with the event from 2012, I remember you saying in an interview that your goal was sort of to get top 10 or top 6, but you ended up second. Was this sort of the event that placed the best according to what your expectation was? You were most
Um,
surprised about yourself.
I cannot recall. To be honest, I cannot recall what my goal was. But if you say it was top six or top 10, then
Yeah, in an interview with T-Racer, I believe you said top 10 or top 6.
okay, yeah. Well, then, yeah, then I remember I was incredibly happy to reach the final. I was really stunned that that happened. I was like, wow. And if this was some kind of breakthrough, yeah, maybe it was. I mean, I felt
Yeah.
confident after the tournament, and to be honest, the final I played incredibly shit, and I got lucky. This time I got lucky with finalist mode to get second, but I was like, I'll take it, you know. So it was
Can you
okay
tell us
to me.
why you were lucky?
Actually, I think I was like in the back of the pack most of the time, and
Okay.
then I think Yo-Yo won, and then I became finalist at the same time, even though there were two other finalists already. And I actually just snitched the second place in front of the two other players that had actually, if you would erase the finalist mode, they would have more points than me.
Oh.
But I
But is
took
there
I took
yeah, sure.
a kind of a sick risk in this last round, and I think Carl and DVD were in the final too, or not? I can't remember. I think Carl crashed or something, and DVD took a safe route. So I had just after I nailed the risk part between two pillars, then it was just easy win for me.
Oh. Is there any like similarities? Because the next year in 2013 you also placed second. Is there any similarities between these events, or are they different?
Yeah, well, there's similarities. The placement, I both got second, but no, but in the tournament in general was completely different because the second tournament, oh my God, I think I played my best tournament ever. I was so good this whole event that I really, I don't know, even in the final, I all the time had to believe I was just going to do it and going to win it. And I don't know if you have seen the match, but I started in the final without extra points because I came from the lower bracket.
Yeah.
And I think Hacky Junior started with 6 points and Yo-Yo started with 10. And then after 2 rounds, I was already leading with 20 points. I already caught up with them, and actually, I never lost this first place in the whole the match except for the ending where Yo-Yo got past me. But I think I still got finalist first, and then actually Hacky Junior just, oh my God, I mean, it's a match. I don't really dislike him because I know it. That's not what that's not what I want to say. We
Yeah,
are
yeah,
good friends, but at the time I wanted to, just fuck you, Hacky, but
yeah,
no, we get along really well. But at the moment you were like, why are you doing this? It's a game, of course. So, but
yeah, yeah.
he got in front of me 800ths of a second or something, and then I got second, and then Yo-Yo and Hacky, I think, both got finalists as well. And then I got a slowdown, and I was like, no, not
Oh.
now, out of all moments. And it wasn't even at a risky part or anything, so I don't know. And then Yo-Yo won.
Oh.
And then after that, I had the sickest battle for second place. To be honest, if you have never seen that battle for second place, I would highly recommend watching it because you have never seen something so sick in one round.
The battle of Trackmania forever, or the
Yeah,
best
it
battle we have
was.
seen.
Yeah, I don't know. It is on YouTube, I think.
Yeah, I
But
believe it is. The full match is there.
yeah, and it was like neck and neck. DVD already crashed. He was fourth all match. He had troubles with the computer. Uh, um, but neck and neck and stuff like that. And I got in front of him a little bit before the end, and then he crashed, and then they switched the camera to me, and then I crashed in the next corner. So we both crashed, like we fully stopped. Then we were just like, I don't know, just trying to get to the finish as soon as possible, but we were going so slow. And this decided who got second in the whole tournament. I mean,
Huh.
it's just hilarious, but
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
a legendary moment.
Yeah, it was legendary, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, let's move over to online events of the game. They're like you were looking through your own list before. It's such a long achievement list. But I want to talk maybe about your biggest online achievement, at least the Giant Cup win.
Yeah,
Can you tell us how did it feel to win such a prestigious event?
best feeling I think I've had in the Trackmania.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, I think it does. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
sure. It's a
is
prestigious
because
event.
Yeah, it was. It's kind of weird maybe to people because it's an online event, and does it still exist? Sorry for all the
No, the
questions.
Giant Cup doesn't exist anymore. No.
Okay, well, I don't know. For new people that are listening to this, I guess the Giant Cup was kind of the World Cup online. You didn't get any money for it or anything, but it was just so prestigious, and it was really the online tournament of the year. I remember the first time I entered, I think it was Giant Cup 6 or Giant Cup 7, and I tried to qualify, and well, it didn't really work out. I wasn't that good yet, you know. So, but I said to myself, one day I just want to win this tournament. And then I tried a few times, and I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I never. I don't know. I actually can't remember how far I came or whatever. Maybe I was on holiday or whatever. I don't know. But this one Giant Cup of 2000, when was it? 2012 or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even remember
Yeah,
myself.
maybe 2011,
Yeah,
2010.
sure.
But I was, at least I was on top of my game. I think I was winning most tournaments. I guess this was just before Carl Jr.'s real, yeah, standing up at the time.
Yeah.
Um, and this tournament was sick. The final, I guess, I played against Massa, Frostbiel, and someone else. I don't know.
Yeah, already Frostby and Massa are two sick names and maybe some of the best ever.
Yeah, oh, I remember. It was the Italian guy, Siap. I don't know if you know
Oh,
him,
yeah,
but
I
yeah,
remember
he
that name,
was,
yeah.
yeah. And I think it was like such a sick match, and nevertheless, I think after 3 maps, it was like everyone had the same points, more or less, or just 1 or 2 points far from each other in the 60s. And then I think we went to the last map, and then I was just, I don't know what it was, but the first round I almost set a new world record, and then the second one I almost came close to the world record again, and then the third time again, and the fourth time again. So after the third or fourth round, I think I was already I already knew I was going to win the tournament because
Yeah.
there was no finalist mode at the time. And it was such an achievement, such a relief. I actually yelled through the house like, oh, so loud, and
Yeah.
I believe my mom was like, what's happening, you know, something like that. And she was just concerned, and I was like so happy I just won this fucking tournament. So I don't know,
Yeah.
it's just because I wanted it so badly to win it, and the way I did it, like whole tournament I was good. In the final, I didn't start off that great, but in the last map, I finally showed what I was capable of. I was doing these sick times, and I don't know. I felt that so many people also were cheering for me, that made it even more special to me. And that is something that I've cherished throughout all my career. All the people that are that become I won't say fans because Trackmania is not that big, and let's say like I'm not a rock star or anything, but the people
But yeah,
that just wanted or shared feelings that they
yeah.
wanted to let you win or something, you know. So that's just a great feeling, and that's something I've cherished throughout all my career. And for this Giant Cup, then I also felt the same, and my training was spot on, and I don't know, just the final was just a perfect final, the best I've ever played.
I think you can call them fans because that's the definition of a fan. Someone
Yeah,
who
but
wants and cheer for you.
I don't know, it feels it
Yeah,
always
yeah, yeah.
feels weird to me. I don't know.
I guess it does. Because you have played so many online events, we don't have time to speak about each and every one. But is there sort of one online event you always looked forward to or always had fun driving?
Well, the only good answer to that is Giant Cup 10, I guess, from the online events.
Yeah,
But there's one other tournament. Well, for some people, the stadium team, the STC, the
yep,
Stadium Team Championship tournament, or whatever it was called, was the biggest tournament. But for me, it was the Nations Cup. Geez,
yeah.
what was the name again of that? I can't remember.
STC, NC something, Nation Cup and the Stadium Nation Cup was the same time, I believe.
Yeah,
I
what
might be
was it?
mistaken.
Yeah,
What's
that
the
doesn't matter.
name of
Well,
it?
we know at the same time, the same maps, it was with Nations,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
for
Nation
me,
NC.
I don't know, it felt like, even though you're playing online and I was not wearing an orange is the color from the Netherlands, orange shirt, it still felt like I just wanted to accomplish this, to win this shit, and oh God, we came so close 2 times, but yeah, I don't know, it felt like I think 2 times we I can't remember. I think it was at least one time we played against France in the final, and we tried to do a trick because everyone knows France always was the best team in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah,
They had so many good French players, and we had to do it with well, I must be honest, Spam, me, and Koen were really usually the top dogs in the Netherlands. We were kind of the same level,
yeah.
and then so we had to play all 3 maps normally, and then we had also some other really good players, but it wasn't the same level as France normally. But because I don't know, everyone was so motivated in the team, and everyone achieved such a level that they would, I don't know, go beyond their usual level. It was so fantastic to play in this tournament, and especially in this match against France, where we actually tried to trick them. And I don't know, maybe that's bad to do or whatever, but we felt we had to do it, to play a trick to. We were young at the time, so we actually pretended that we didn't really train for the match, but we
Oh,
we we actually trained a lot without Daddy or the Daddy Mania
yeah.
system on, a local record on. So in the match, I remember that was so funny. We in the warm-ups we pretended we didn't know the maps and we said that. So we just were like crashing a lot and stuff like that. And I remember Kimi was the captain of the French team. He said, in French, I can speak or I can read a little bit of French.
Yeah,
He said
okay.
something like, we're gonna win this easy or something, and they didn't train, and, and I was laughing behind my computer, and then the first match started, and then boom, we got like, I don't know, five players were in the top 6 or something, and they were like, oh shit, come on guys, we have to push, and yeah, that was just an amazing experience.
Did you ever use that tactic in other matches, or was it this a one-time thing?
Nah, this was really a one-time thing because I don't know, I felt bad to do, but at the same time, friends were so good.
Yeah,
We had to play a trick. That's
yeah.
why.
As you said, the Netherlands are a big country in Trackmania with players as yourself, Spam and Koens. The years of 2012 and 2013 are probably the best years, with Spam winning the World Championship,
Yeah,
Koens placing third in 2013, and
yeah,
as we spoke about, you placed second at Gamers Assembly both of those years.
yeah.
Is there? Let's talk about. Do you feel like you are the best the Netherlands player we have ever seen, or are
No,
there equal? Who is the best?
no. Um,
It's a hard question to ask
ooh,
you.
yeah. It's tough to say. I think we should also not forget about Senogir, who was
Yeah,
a great player really in the early days. Yeah, who's the best player? Uh, I think I don't know, it's really a tough one.
it's hard to be objective, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to be rational and objective, but and I know for certain that I'm not the one. I know I'm really close to their
Oh,
level, but I
yeah,
consider myself as a little bit less good because I've never finished an online or an offline event
yeah,
at the first place, and I think that's a quality you must have. And the only 2 ones that have done that are Xenogear and Bam. But then if you look at the tournaments itself, Xenogear, I mean, was it the early days? Maybe the level was lower. Spam did it, but the tournament he won was also really high level, of course, and no disrespect or anything, but compared to the years that would follow, it was a little bit less. But yeah, I don't know. I think both of them, or all 3 of them, are kind of in the
yeah,
same area, and Spam has always shown great performances every year in, year out. Koen has always shown same consistency. Xenogear has become world champion as well. So is there one that sticks out? I don't think I can have
that's fair to say.
yeah, I don't think I have an answer to that. for the people to decide.
Yeah, but talking about big players, were there sort of like a guy you looked up to early in the days or respected, or was there even a player you were scared of playing against?
Well, there are a few. I've always was in my head. I've never shown it, but in my head, I was always like, I can beat everyone,
Yeah.
except for I guess there are 3 or 4 names I have always had difficulty with playing against. Maybe 6 actually. Now I think of it.
Who?
So at first, Senogir, because he was the Dutch champion, he was world champion, and he did some amazing stuff. Then we got Frostbiel. Even though we had some issues later on, I always respected him as a player, and at the beginning a lot because he was so good, so consistent, and showed incredible pace and always performed. Then we've got obviously Karian, who has demonstrated times that were unthinkable. So whenever I would play against him, I know I had to show my A game. The fourth one is Carl Jr. because, well, let's be honest, this guy is fucking amazing, and besides that, also an amazing person.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've always wanted to beat him, and I don't know if I know one thing he said, and that's still a great compliment, is that he had at the time, at least, I still 2016, maybe times have changed, I don't know, but that in a one-on-one match, 1 versus 1, that he had never lost against another player than me. So hopefully that is still not that the record is still not broken, but I don't know. But obviously that was in the beginning days of Carl Jr. when
Yeah.
he was good, but not as good as he is now or the past couple of years. And then the other 2 names are quite obvious because I would scared look up to, maybe not look up to, but Koen and Spam. You know, if you have only one ticket to a World Cup, and you know you've got Spam and Koen in the same country,
Yeah.
then I mean that's just sick. You know, that's just I don't. That's why I always was. I can't. I want to say I'm never afraid of these guys, but I mean, you know that it's gonna be exciting. You know it's gonna be a close race. So
Yeah.
yeah, of course it was difficult to play against them sometimes.
Yeah, it's sort of like before even going to the hardest event ever, you have to place or face 2 of the strongest players in the game.
Yes, that's tough.
I guess it was better for Bergie as a Norwegian qualifier and pretty won every single one of them pretty easily.
Yeah, that was a little bit easier, I guess. Even
Yeah.
though we must not forget that Norway has other amazing
Yeah.
players. But I think at the
Yes.
time Viper was he was a teammate at Team Dignitas, maybe relatively unknown, but he was incredibly good as well. So
Yeah.
Bergie didn't have easy qualifiers at all, not each time at least.
Maybe easier than the Netherlands, but still not easy.
Yeah,
That's
indeed.
correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's a
But
good thing to see.
let's move over to another part of your influential in the Trackmania scenes, because alongside being a top player, you also do what I'm doing at the moment, talking with profiles from the scenes. And I believe if you haven't posted those interviews, I will never have thought of starting this podcast. But could you sort of tell us what was the motivation behind interviewing players and posting it online?
Well, at a certain point, I don't know, I felt really comfortable in the scene. I felt that I had made a lot of friends in the
Yeah,
scene,
yeah,
and for me, like I had the opportunity to get to know these guys better, and know the persons behind the the nicknames. Know get to know the faces, but for a lot of people, there wasn't a lot of content about the Trackmania people, and I actually just wanted to showcase them, show them to the world, and actually just show who they are, you know. And it doesn't have to be Trackmania related all the time, but just also about personal stuff and stuff
yeah.
like that. And you know, it was just more. I mean, I had so much respect for all of these guys, and why not show it to everyone in a video?
Yeah, exactly. And for sure, there are many great interviews by you. I watched all of them before doing this. But for people that has never seen an interview or only has time to watch one, what would you say was your favorite? What should people watch or start with watching?
Um, well, the one I think is the best one is with Marek, his twin.
Yeah,
That was a good interview. You also have some funny ones with alcohol involved, like
yeah, I know what
Jesus.
you're talking about.
Yeah, I guess Cuba is also a good one to
Yeah.
watch.
And talking
But
about
yeah,
that, was there any sort of interviews that were more difficult than other interviews?
yeah, definitely. Also, it had to do with two components, not only the people or the person who was interviewed, because not everyone is as comfortable in an interview,
Yeah,
but also my interviewing skills were zero, and I actually didn't prepare anything because I wanted to make it look natural. But actually, if I reflect on that, you should prepare always a little bit, a little thing, because that just didn't make any sense sometimes from what I was saying. So that's what I have learned. But
yeah,
I don't pursue a career in as an interview, so it was fine and it looks funny and people can laugh about it, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So that's maybe also the reason why I get awkward or funny moments.
But I think it's good to watch some sort of things that are not too serious. You can see people laughing, people having fun, and
Yeah, that's the most important part, I
yeah,
think.
exactly. But talking about all the people you have interviewed, but there were probably someone you didn't interview that you want to interview. Is there someone, if you had to do one interview again, who would it be?
Brian,
Karian?
yeah.
Why?
Because I only got to know him in 2009 at the World Cyber Games,
Yeah,
and he seemed like such a genuine, nice guy. And at the time, I was still a bit shy, I'd say. I was still relatively young, and I think for him, kind of the same. So I didn't really get to know him that well. But from the conversations we've had online, I have always had a good bond with him. So that's one person I really wanted to get to know better for myself. But I think also is there one interview with Karin anyway, maybe in
yeah, I think he
Swedish
has
or
posted one interview with, I don't know who it is, but there is an interview of him online.
okay. I didn't know that, but I
I
think
can
there's
link you to you afterwards.
yeah yeah, that's cool. But that's at least there's not much
Yeah.
content then. So
Yeah, so much mystery around that guy. I guess people
yeah,
have many questions for him, and he seems like a good guy.
yeah, he definitely is.
But yeah, let's go into sort of like the deep stuff, or I don't want to call it deep stuff, but it's no secret that you're not in Trackmania anymore. Can you tell us the reason behind leaving the game? Was it something you thought about doing for a long time, or was it an impulsive decision?
Well, it was certainly not impulsive. I've made a lot of, I said a lot of times impulsively that I'm gonna quit now, and then I came back 3 or 4 months later just because I loved the
Yeah.
competition. But yeah, at a certain moment, I was doing my master's degree in psychology,
Oh.
which took a lot of time. At the same time, I got my girlfriend, and yeah, for now, I moved on to having a full-time job. So yeah, my priorities really are became just different in life, you know. So at one point, you are just too old. Well, I can still play the game for fun, of course,
Yeah, yeah.
but like I said before, it is not even though I had cherished a lot of great memories and this special game to me, it's not the game I want to play each day or each week. I only wanted to do that for the competition and events at a certain moment. So that's where also the moment where my motivation decreased, and then at the same time I got a lot busier, even busier than before. So it wasn't a real yeah, it wasn't the right time anymore to
Yeah.
continue playing.
You get more important stuff in your life, and that's natural in your life, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's also a good healthy thing. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it's just you develop, and at certain point you just have to leave. You just have to say goodbye and just cherish the moments you've experienced and all the friends you've made and stuff like that. And yeah, I guess that's important.
Yeah, and you already mentioned a couple of times that you sort of learned things from Trackmania. Can you sort of tell us, is there anything special that you learned from Trackmania that you used in your everyday life?
Yes. The thing that has brought the thing that Trackmania brought me, I'd say at the age of 15, I was quite shy, or at least I didn't talk that much. And even though I mean, if get to know someone, then I was the same person as I am now. But
Yeah.
to people I was not familiar with, I was a bit shut down. And when I got the opportunity to go to China, I got a lot of self-esteem because of that. And I think that has generally helped me through well the rest of my life so far, because I've actually learned to have more social skills. And even though I always make jokes that I'm an awkward turtle, I know I'm not an entire awkward
Yeah,
turtle,
yeah, yeah.
because I know that I can talk with everyone and stuff like that. So, but it helped me to get more self-esteem and get to, I don't know, accept everyone and just have fun with everyone. And I don't know, I think that that's one important aspect of the game. And I think I've also learned how to lose, even though it took longer than expected. So I guess these things are the best.
Yeah. And this interview is getting closer and closer to an end, and I already had an amazing time, but it's not over yet, because from what I understand and from what I talked to you about before doing this interview, you have sort of an announcement you want to share with the people of Trackmania. Can you tell
Yeah,
us what is the announcement?
yeah, it's kind of weird thingy, but pretty cool. So I'm not gonna make my return in Trackmania.
Oh.
It's for the better though. I'm probably awful at the moment. No, but as we said before, we're moving on in our lives, and
Yep.
same counts for me. So I guess I will be not the first, but one of the first that will have some kind of Trackmania baby or whatever. So
Oh.
I'm gonna become a dad
Ay,
later
ay.
this year. So
Congrats, man.
yeah, thank you. I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, that's actually, yeah, that's something I wanted to announce also with the people that have supported me throughout the years, and the people that are watching. I mean, I don't get the time to talk to them individually, because I don't know, there's just too many people
Yeah.
to let them know.
Can I ask, when is the baby expected?
In September.
In September. Oh,
Yeah.
that can crash with a potential ESWC if it comes back. No.
Yeah. Indeed. But so I was not the only one. I saw that X Rider
Yep.
also was getting a baby. So I don't get the honor to be the first, but that's all fine. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, do you think that maybe your baby will play Trackmania in the future? Maybe Trackmania 5 or something?
Well, I don't know. We'll have to see if games still exist, and
Yeah.
I don't know if the game has developed, but I don't think that will happen. But I'll definitely show him Trackmania, because yeah, it's still it was an important part of my life. So why not? I'm definitely gonna show some old videos and stuff like that.
Yeah. The proudest moments, and make the baby envy you even more.
Well, I don't think that's a healthy thing, but yeah, I'm gonna definitely just show the good matches, not the
Yeah.
bad ones.
So the kid will not say that my father is stronger than your father, but faster in
Yeah,
computer games than your father.
yeah, you got the geeky dad.
But yeah, that's it for me, I guess. Is there something that I left out or forgot to ask you that you wanna tell
Um,
or talk about
no,
before we close it?
I'm just thinking about it. I think I don't know, hopefully it was interesting to the people that
Yeah,
have
it
listened,
was
but
really interesting. I could do it for one more hour, but I
yeah,
guess people have to want you back, and hopefully they do.
yeah. Well, no, what I just wanted to say, I've mentioned a few names earlier that have been in my Trackmania path, but there have been so many more. Just to mention Naki Jr., Wise, people like that. These, but also the less known names, Arayan and
Yeah.
Cookie, and a lot more, a whole lot more. And I think what I just as a final word, what I want to say is that I want to thank everyone that has been supporting me throughout the years. I think that was the main thing that got me through these years, because my motivation decreased. I'd say already at 2014 or something, but because everyone was always so cheerful towards me, which I on the day on until today I still don't entirely understand, but it felt so great and so good that I've been continue playing, and I've always tried to become a world champion, or at least perform really well at an international tournament. But yeah, I think I have to be so grateful that these people have given me that love, these great moments, and I shared them with them. Jeez, this sounds really terrible, my English here, but I guess you see where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's what I wanted to say, and I also wanted to thank you for having me on this interview. I think it's a sign of appreciation that from my side that you were willing to have me here in
Yeah.
in your podcast.
Of course, man.
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, it are the little things, but it gives me a great feeling and good feeling, and also that I have um, I don't know, I've contributed to a community.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that's one of the best feelings you can have.
Yeah, and I understand that you want to thank people, but I also think people should thank you for what you have done in the game. Like I said before, without your interview series, I would never have started this, and I believe many others also got motivation from you. So
That's cool.
from the
Yeah.
community of Trackmania, I want to thank you, Tamarillo.
Thank you, man. Thank you. No, thanks.
You have a final sentence you want to say?
No, just keep up with the great podcast. I actually listened to a few of them already, and I think I'm just gonna continue, even though I don't play Trackmania anymore. So yeah, that's about it, I guess.
Yeah. Thanks so much for stepping up, man, and doing this interview with me. It's been really fun.
No problem. We should do this more often. Let's
Yeah, maybe
do
next
it,
year and see how it goes with the baby.
yeah, maybe he's already playing in the game of
Yeah.
Trackmania. So
Potential world champion
she.
challenging
I don't
Carl
know.
Jr.
Yeah, indeed.
But yeah,
Tamarillo Jr.
that's it for today, guys. Bye bye, and see you the next time.
You guys.
Oh man, that's what. 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 Oh man.